Hello, I'm Philip Bluestein with the Bluestein Law Firm, and we are here with another edition of our Facebook Live series, Business Insights That Anyone Can Use. We were here today with my colleague Adam Zard, who is with the firm Real Estate Consultants of Colorado, and his firm focuses on working with a lot of healthcare professionals for their office needs, whether it's purchasing or leasing space. So with having said that, what I'd like is, Adam, if you could just tell us a little about yourself and your background.
Absolutely, Phil, thanks so much for having me. So as Phil mentioned, I am a commercial real estate broker with my firm Real Estate Consultants of Colorado. We have a couple niches that separate us from a lot of our competitors, one being, like Phil, I am an attorney, but a recovering attorney. I'll allow Phil to take over the legal work. But all of our brokers have law backgrounds. The idea being that we want to bring a higher level of professionalism, expertise, and analysis to the commercial brokerage industry. The other aspect is that we only represent tenants and buyers. The idea being that there are a lot of conflicts of interest in the commercial brokerage industry, and that we wanted to eliminate as many of those conflicts as possible so that our clients understand that we are really just advocating for their best interest and want them to get into a space that fits their needs, not that we're showing them our listings or withholding an offer or anything like that. So with that, Phil, again, thanks for having me.
Great. So obviously, Adam, you work with a lot of healthcare professionals and you work with some other areas too. And what we're going to talk about today is, I guess to a certain extent, is specifically related to healthcare professionals, but the information is applicable to the other areas if you're working with other types of commercial properties. Absolutely. Or whatever. So I'll be talking in terms of the physicians and dentists and other types of healthcare professionals that we work with. But don't forget, if you're not in that category, it doesn't mean you have to tune out. You certainly can get some good information from Adam today. So why don't we start with, why is it important to work with an experienced or with an agent or broker who's experienced, in this case, in healthcare, who's worked with healthcare spaces? What's the difference? What's important about that?
Absolutely. Well, there's a couple different things that brokers do, and one is obviously finding the space that fits our clients' needs. The other half is introducing our clients to other professionals that can help facilitate a transaction. And it's really a team approach effort to finding the space that works best for our clients. So for example, introducing our clients to architects or interior designers or construction firms. Everybody who helps get a space and turn it into something that's unique and right for our clients. And on the medical and dental specific asset class, that's a pretty niche market it's expensive to build out a space, and having someone who's experienced and who knows everything that goes into a space like that absolutely has its advantages. It's one thing to work with a broker who's primarily on the residential side. It's just a very different animal working with someone who's experienced.
And I would imagine, I think, and in my own experience, it seems like there are very few brokers out there who really do have a lot of experience in healthcare, and I know your firm is one of the ones that actually does a lot of that type of work.
Yeah, absolutely. So our firm actually started in Chicago about 40 years ago, and we were doing almost exclusively healthcare real estate in Chicago, and then moved to Denver now about 7 years ago, and have continued on with our tradition of focusing a lot on medical real estate.
Great. So what are some things for a physician or dentist or other healthcare professional to consider when they're leasing, when they're buying? What should be going through their mind? What are some key points?
Obviously, it's important to be located in a convenient location for your patients. That you want your patients to be able to find your practice, find your hospital, to be able to park easily, to really be there. And then when you're walking through a space, obviously it's important to understand that there's a lot that goes into building out a space. So if we can find maybe a second generation dental suite or a second generation surgery center that already has a lot of the operating rooms, the x-ray machines, that sort of stuff, it really has its advantages and allows a dentist to focus on building their practice, with which they should be doing in the first place, not necessarily worrying about their real estate.
I would imagine it would be a lot more cost effective just knowing cutting through concrete to put in new pipes, and or does the office even flow, or do we have to strip it all the way down to core and shell, things like that. If you can find something that has a good flow for a medical office or for a dental office, as opposed to your average executive workspace, I imagine those are important things as well.
Absolutely, being able to walk into a space and make sure that it has the right flow, the right warm, welcoming feel that you want when you're walking into a medical space. That it works with everything that you need, whether you're a sole practitioner or if you have 5 or 6 other dentists in your space, to be able to make sure that everybody is happy and being as productive and efficient as they possibly can.
And I can imagine as well the privacy concerns, even that if you have a first floor office and you have all these beautiful windows from your either your operatory, if you're doing surgery or dental surgery, or even from your exam rooms, you can't have the blinds open.
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot of HIPAA
Yes.
concerns, and also ADA compliance requirements that you obviously want to be aware of when you're walking through a space.
Sure. Now that brings us to probably the big question I think that a lot of people will ask me, and they probably ask you about. Should they lease a space or should they buy a space? I know there's no simple answer, and we're not going to do a whole, we could probably talk for hours about that topic, but just as an overview, what are some of the things that people might consider? Why would they buy? Why would they lease?
Yeah, obviously, buying has its advantages because you own an asset. There are obviously financial opportunities as far as from an investment perspective. On the leasing side, though, it can be pretty cost effective to get into a space, to sign a longer term lease, and where the landlord invests a lot into their own building, and you're able to use it, especially for young physicians and dentists where they have medical school bills and need to be cost efficient. That
Right.
leasing absolutely has its advantages. But again, on the buy side, it's a big asset to have, and there are opportunities for using that asset and doubling down and being able to really grow a real estate portfolio through use of like a 1031 exchange. Obviously, capital gains is much more tax effective than ordinary income. So there are advantages and disadvantages to both.
Right. And certainly there are a number of things that you can do from a tax standpoint and a business standpoint when whether you are leasing or owning, but obviously owning, it does offer a number of other options. If you're working with the right tax advisor, they'll know how you can do things that are perfectly reasonable, but take advantage of certain things in the IRS code that you would not necessarily be able to if you didn't own or if you didn't know about. So great. Well,
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Adam.
Thank you for having me.
We're just kind of wrap it up, but real quick, again, I'm Philip Bluestein with the Bluestein Law Firm. We help doctors build and protect their careers and practices. Adam Zard here with with Real Estate Consultants of Colorado, works with a lot of physicians, dentists, and other healthcare professionals to help them with their commercial real estate needs. And just to wrap it up, just as a reminder, we help with those kinds of things. We help our clients kind of start to finish. So we work with them everything from their licensing issues to their contract issues, as well as regulatory matters, purchases and sales of businesses, and of course dealing again with these real estate issues and a variety of other issues for our healthcare clients. Again, I'm Philip Bluestein and this is Adam Zard. Thank you for joining us.